All right. Christmas time is here. Can you see what's happening in the reflection? Magic behind movie making. Wow, this shirt is really wrinkled. It's just the state of affairs right now. Hi friends and strangers who happen to find this video. How to even start this video? First, with a sip of coffee. I wanted to talk about this on a video because to write about it would be a novel, and I might write about it someday. Just to give some details, I am bad at talking. Why do I make videos if I'm bad at talking? I don't know. Self-deprecation. On Tuesday, December 13th, which is coming up, I'm having brain surgery. Brain surgery. For a year and a half, close to 2 years, I've been going through some chronic problems. It started out in my ear. About 10 doctors later, figured out it has nothing to do with my ear really at all, and it all has to do with my brain. Seriously, getting to this point of actually scheduling surgery and having something done to fix this makes me excited and happy and want to cry, and I'm also nervous because it's brain surgery. I have hydrocephalus, which is where there's too much fluid and pressure in your brain. It can cause all kinds of problems. I live in a constant state where I feel, you know that feeling when you're upside down and you feel the blood rush to your head? I live like that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That is what my life has been like for almost 2 years. It puts pressure on my eyes, so I get a lot of eye headaches. I get a lot of headaches. It has caused the whooshing in my ear. It's just, some days it's just hard to live normally and be normal. I started out at an ENT because the first thing that happened was there was whooshing in my ear, and it was to the rhythm of my heartbeat. That ENT couldn't help me. Then I didn't know where to go, so I ended up at a vascular surgeon who couldn't help me, referred me to a cardiologist. I also saw 2 general surgeons, another ENT who finally was familiar with what I have, which is pulsatile tinnitus. They say tinnitus, all the doctors say tinnitus, but I don't feel that fancy, so I say tinnitus because I'm Southern. He knew what it was, and he had patients that had it before, but it was the symptom of something deeper, and so he referred me to a neurotologist, which is like an ear brain doctor, and he was the first one who had any kind of inkling of what could be causing this, and that it was all in my brain. He is the one who ordered the MRIs and the MRVs, and which is what has been able to show what's happening in my brain. But he couldn't help me either, because if it's doing with my brain, he's still an ENT, so he referred me to a neurologist, and then that neurologist could explain everything in the MRIs. He sent me to a neurosurgeon who said that you're gonna have to have surgery done, and so that neurosurgeon sent me to another neurosurgeon in his practice who is a specialist in hydrocephalus. After all this, determined that's what I have. So they scheduled me for surgery on Tuesday, December 13th. Normally what they do is they put in a shunt to have, which is like a plastic tube that drains from your brain, and it runs down into your stomach, and it drains the cerebral spinal fluid into your stomach. With everything, what's happening in my head, he said that I am a candidate for a surgery called an endoscopic third ventriculostomy. So here's the deal. I wish I could do one of those animated things to show you what's happening in my brain right now. Hold on, sip of coffee. So I'm not a doctor, so I'm explaining it to you the way I understand it. What is happening in my head is I have a ventricle, third ventricle. It's like this little pouch where your cerebral spinal fluid is born in your brain. And your cerebral spinal fluid is what cushions your brain and your spine, your spinal cord, So third ventricle is creating all this spinal fluid, and in a normal brain, it goes through this little tunnel called an aqueduct. So in this third ventricle, here's my ventricle right here. There's a little tunnel called an aqueduct, and that is what drains your cerebral spinal fluid into your other ventricles and into, I think it's the meniscus, is that right? Like the sac that lines the cushiony part. But what has happened in my brain is that tunnel has been blocked. They don't know why, they don't know how. It's considered congenital aqueductal stenosis. Stenosis means like a narrowing. I have learned so many things. So that ventricle, the little pocket of cerebral spinal fluid, is like, hey, I'm gonna create spinal fluid. But wait, I have nowhere to go. Okay, then I'm just gonna like leak into other parts of her brain. So these ventricles are distended and they have gotten really, really big and stretched out, leaking into other parts of my brain, including putting pressure on my eyeballs. So I saw a neuro-ophthalmologist and my optic nerves are swollen. There's some damage that's happening to my optic nerves, and so we have to correct this before I lose my vision. That's what's causing the whooshing in my ear, is because it's having to escape through other means, which includes like veins and other means. It's just a whole big clusterfluff. So the ventricles, there's no way for the fluid to get out. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna drill a hole in my skull, and they are going to endoscopically go into my brain, are going to poke a hole in this part of my ventricle, so the spinal fluid, so it's like a new tunnel for my spinal fluid to flow. It's like a detour for the tunnel that's blocked. I wonder if there are any neurologists or neurosurgeons watching this and getting a kick out of how I am poorly educating my viewers. That's just how I know it to be and how I understand it in my simple way. So, some questions that I get, that I've gotten from some people. Am I gonna have to shave my head? The surgeon said no, I would not have to shave my head, but I made the mistake of YouTubing and Googling this surgery, and everyone I could find did not have hair in the place where they made the incision. I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't mind, like, if it's just like a tiny little bit, just to make the incision and do the stuff. I just don't want to wake up with half of my head shaved. I am not emotionally prepared to have to deal with that, as well as brain surgery, recovery. Next question that I get is, what does recovery look like? Okay, here's the deal. I had a lumbar puncture back in August, and they said that I would be on my feet within the next day. People, no. After a week, I still had spinal headaches, and I could not get up for more than like 2 minutes to go to the restroom. I had to go in for a blood patch, which was one of the most painful things I've ever done in my life. It was a month out of my life. So the recovery for this is estimated to be that they might keep me overnight. He was like, you did just have brain surgery, so we'll probably keep you overnight, and then you can go the next day, and within like a day or two, you're gonna be back on your feet and walking around and driving just like you are right now. When he was, talking to me. I don't believe doctor estimated recovery times. One, everyone is different, and two, I don't handle medicine and procedures very well. I have a high pain tolerance, but my body revolts. You know what I'm gonna believe? I'm gonna believe that that's gonna be true, that I'm gonna be up and moving within a day or two, a couple of days. I'll even be fine with like a week. I'm gonna believe that this is not, that I'm not gonna have any spinal headaches, that I'm not gonna, have any complications from this, that this is gonna be like the start of a new time in my life where I'm not living in chronic pain and I'm completely healed, and hydrocephalus is no longer an issue in my life. The more I read about it, the more I realize that, or like from people's stories, that this is a chronic thing that they're constantly having to deal with hydrocephalus for the rest of their life. And I'm just believing that this is no. We're cutting it off. We're stopping it. I need a sip of coffee because cheers. That's what I'm believing. You know? Because no. All right. Got a little feisty. So, is all that clear? Clear as mud. December 13th. If you're the praying type, please pray for me. Brain surgery. That's nuts. My battery is on. The last one is about to start blinking at me, and it causes me all kinds of anxiety. So I'm going to wrap this sucker up. December 13th. I'm having brain surgery. That's I don't even know what to say. Here's to health and no hydrocephalus and getting better and no complications in surgery and a quick recovery and having a very Merry Christmas to me and to you. I wish you a very Merry Christmas.